My name is Persephone, and apparently Cerberus is my new pet. So I went and talked to my mom. I didn't tell her, everything, but I went and I talked to her, and I found out I'm not supposed to be alive. Remember I've said my mom's always been really judgy and weird? Quirky and overprotective and just more often trying to avoid me, it feels like. Well, it turns out I wasn't just a risky birth. I was born a preemie. Like, super, super preemie. I'd been fully expected to die, and the doctors had been doing everything they could, but told my parents to be prepared for the worst. They were desperate, and desperate people tend to not make the best choices. I guess my parents weren't much different, because when some friend of the family started talking about less commonplace thoughts of school and prayer, they listened. She didn't actually tell me much about what they did or what the woman told them to do, but she did tell me that it involved making offerings to, you guessed it, Persephone. Now I went and looked into it. Persephone isn't a goddess of, fertility or birth or anything, but she was the goddess of spring, growth, and bounty. She was also the wife of Hades, who is, Cerberus's daddy waddy. Also, apparently, real. Up to now, it's almost all felt like a fever dream, maybe I really was just delusional or making it up or had finally snapped or something. It was bonkers for real. But here we had actual, tangible, for real, living, breathing proof. I went home after our conversation and had a full-blown panic attack, I'm not gonna lie. This was real. My parents prayed to some god or goddess, some Greek something, and I'd say, oh, well, it's just coincidence, except Cerberus is actually in my house every night. Mom, of course, wants to think it's just that nothing she did meant anything really, that it was just God, like the Christian God, or luck, or fate, or something. Those stories aren't real, honey, she said, but her eyes were storm cloud dark. Don't think about it anymore, okay? It was just a hard and weird time in my life. I know how you are and how you can be, and I don't want you obsessing over this. Like I was some kind of childish toddler that needed to be talked down to. It was the last time I've said anything to my mom about this. I don't plan on talking to her about it ever again. She's not going to take me seriously. Or maybe she does, and she's as scared as I am. But it's like, once I found out about this, everything got way more crazy, way more quickly. For one, Cerberus hasn't left my property. I don't know what happens to him during the day or how he avoids attention, but he is always there the minute it gets dark enough for him to slip into my yard. For another, he doesn't want to go for walkies anymore. In fact, when I try to leave my property, he gets anxious and snappy, which seems counterproductive for someone who wanted a therapy walking dog to get her out of the house. I haven't been sleeping well either. The knocking has come back every night, a light, soft, polite tapping. It never gets any harder, and it never gets any more intense. Cerby snarls and growls at it until it stops, and I've stopped being stupid enough to go downstairs and try to see what it is. After that last time, I don't want it to see me back again. Whatever it is that's out there. Or who. I've left notes back for whoever is leaving them for me. They're always gone in the morning, but I never get any kind of reply that I can tell. Certainly never any notes left back. Last night, though, things got to the point where I can't just ignore or hope any longer, because last night there was this soft, steady tapping at my window. It wasn't bedtime, and I wasn't in bed. I was reading in my living room, Cerby at my feet like the world's biggest lapdog, when I heard it. Screeching, scratching, tapping. He lifted his head and growled deeply. A low snarl started in the base of his throat. I stiffened, but made myself keep my eyes on my book. I just knew that I couldn't or shouldn't look out that darn window. I had to stay calm. I had to pretend not to hear. Even when the lock on my door started to try and work. All 3 heads had burst into barking and snarling now, and I was trying really hard not to have a full-on panic attack. I tried my front door, then my back door, and then the whole time Cerberus stood, facing both ways and sounding off a loud, vicious warning. I could feel tears running down my face, even though I wasn't aware I had started crying. I think I blacked out. The next thing I remember, Cerberus had gone silent, and I felt like someone was holding me. I know it's crazy, but I felt like someone had wrapped me up tightly in their arms, warm and safe. And I knew groggily that I should be scared or worried, but I couldn't. I felt warm and safe and protected. I fell back into sleep almost instantly, and when I woke up the next morning, the feeling was gone. There was no note, no sign that anything strange had occurred, and Cerberus chewing on a hunk of lamb bone that he hadn't had last night. Someone came into my house and gave him that. But my doors were still locked, and my windows have big, long marks in them. Scratch marks. Like something was trying to claw right through the glass. Even more weird, the trees and grass and vines and stuff around my house and doors were totally overgrown and wild. Some vines wound around the locks of my door, and I had to spend hours cutting back the grass and growth outside my windows. It's like they'd gone utterly, absolutely mad overnight last night. I don't know what to think anymore. My life has turned into a fantasy novel overnight, and I'm lost. Why is someone after me? Why is this happening to me? What did my mother do?